Hello guys, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, hello.
Good afternoon.
All right, so guys, quickly, someone two of three can recap or revise what we went through in the last class. So what did we cover last class?
Yeah, we covered print function, then after that input and open. So in that open, we saw like different with the R, W, and appending. We saw some programs, but
Okay.
we understood the class, but unfortunately we didn't practice that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So what else did we cover? Anything apart from open we covered?
Yeah, we covered the tools and all with regards to tools, all those things.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's all. We just had a course intro and not discussed much. Okay. So we went with course intro, lab overview, and welcome kit overview. From Python theory point of view, we covered the print function. Then we went with the input function. Then the open method. Okay. So we saw some examples on this. So today we will start with some more Python theory. So I'll show you what you mean by Python comment and variable, different data types. Okay. So we'll cover this topic today.
Sagar, there is a tool called Anaconda. You know that it's like same like PyCharm.
Yeah, it should be IDE itself.
Ah,
Okay, there are a lot of IDs with different names.
okay.
Okay, so what platform are we using? We are using PyCharm platform. We have Python installed in the backend. We have created a file here. Okay, and let me show you what is comment. So comment can be used in case if you want to put some labels or you want to put some note there. Say for example, you wanted to say that the code begins here. So what happens is your script is gonna ignore this line. It's not gonna take any action on it. So whom is this used for? This is used only for the readability purpose. So when someone is reading or working on your script, they know that what's these two lines for, what is this section used for. Let's say you had many more lines in this. So you can say that section 1 begins here. Okay, might be then after a few thus you can say that SSH connection triggers here. So you can comment them, and thus whenever you add any hash symbol, the lines get converted into comment and they don't get triggered. And this hash symbol is valid only for a line basis. So it doesn't mean that once you put one hash symbol, it will just put all the lines below that in a comment. It don't do that. Okay, there are certain some languages or programs which do it, like in CSS and all, color cascading. If you put like this and you end something like this, okay, so all the lines within that gets as commented or something. But in Python, it's line basic. So you have to put comment in front of line. So if there are 10 lines, then at 10 times you have to put it. It is only line specific. And the second thing is, you can either dedicate the entire line for that, or you can make use of this portion. This also, you can, at the end of the line, you can put the comment. Okay, so this will get triggered. The line before that will get triggered. These are all the good lines, but this is the comment line. Okay, again, that's line specific only. So either you can dedicate a separate line for that, or you can add it at the end of that. It will help for, to know what that block is written for. So this is for single line. Let's say sometimes we prepare Cisco banners, correct, which has some concept of multi-line uh, comments. So this can be multi-line, and to achieve that, to achieve the multi-line concept, what you can do is you can use 3 inverted comma. Okay, this is Cisco box. Please do not try to log in. Cisco employees only. Okay, this is some sort of multi-line comment now. So especially when you're dealing with your Cisco banner, Cisco MOTD, Cisco execute banner, login banner, AAA console banner. Okay, so in that case, you definitely need two to three lines of message to be printed. So this message, this comment, you can use with 3 inverted lines. You can define it to a variable, and then you can take the print, or you can push that variable and that get executed. So whenever you're designing your banner, you will make use of this multi-line concept. Okay, we call it as multi-line comments. In this case, multi-line, because there are 2-3 lines and they are kept inside the 3 inverted comma. The format itself is different. But when you go with a single line comment, you see this is on this way we write it. So we add that hash symbol in front of it. The whole line gets converted into the comment. Okay, and this is specially used for your interaction purpose, so that someone who is working on it get to know what is it about. Whereas this second one, the multi-line comment, it is specially for the banner purpose. Most of the time for banner, you will use this multi-line comments. Okay, so let me show some more example. So let's say that I assign this to XYZ equals to so and so, and then I take a print of that XYZ. Let me put all of them in comment. I don't want them to trigger when I run my script. Okay. Okay, all right. So this has to be run. No, not that script. The script is this. Okay, so this has to be run. Yeah, see, you see this. The entire message got printed. So whatever message you defined, okay, they just got executed. So this is specially used for the banner purpose. If you know the Cisco concept of banner, usually what happens is you get into the config mode, config terminal, then you define banner MOTD, you define some delimiter concept, then you put your messages. This is Cisco box, only authorized person can access it, so and so. Okay, and while ending, you will put the delimiter once again. something like this. So this gets treated up as your banner message. But in terms of Python, what you do, you keep inside the multi-line and then you will push it. So once you push it, this get printed up on a Cisco box. Okay.
So how about the banners which has some special characters, or let's say some companies put rectangle, within that rectangle put the message?
Everything goes inside this. So whatever design that you're referring to, you should design inside this.
Okay.
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 And this will treat as a multi-line comment data. See, for example, I'm just building some thing here. Okay, so let's say okay, so if I run this, see, it's gonna go and get configured on the box.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So this is how the method would be from Python side to configure. If you're using the CLI method, normally you copy this and paste in the CLI and do it. But in the Python way, this is the best method. If you go with single variable assignment, like something like x equals to this is Cisco box, y equals to this, they will not go in a systematic order. They will break the process. So your comment will be pasted only half. Okay. So it should go as a single message. This is acting as a single message now. That is why this is the method. So you can go with 3 double inverted comma, or you can also go with 3 single inverted comma like this. 3 single inverted comma, and then you put your message here, multi-line message. Both are gonna do the same job. So I'll tell you what is this single inverted commas and double inverted commas. So if you observe carefully, these are single inverted comma, whereas these are double inverted comma. Okay. So I'll tell you what is the difference and where do you use them. Both of them, where do you use them? Okay, so that was about comment and multi-line comments. Now, the most important thing which we have not discussed, but we have mentioned it multiple times in our example, that is variable. Okay, so variable is like empty container. Okay, it's like a empty container where you can store your different data, and this container you can transmit over on the channel. In the sense, if I have, let's say, my computer where I'm writing the script, and I have a Cisco box on the remote hand side. Okay, so whatever I'm typing the contents here, my data here, let's say username is admin, password is Cisco, correct? So this has to travel over on the transport channel that is between this. And what transport channel that we use it? We use SSH transport channel. So this variable will contain the information. So I will say that let me put this inside a variable called as XYZ, and this XYZ is merged with this transport channel and it is sent over on the remote side. So remote side will do the necessary things. When you're supposed to take something, you will also store it in that variable over there. Let's say you are saying that ABC now. That ABC will be associated with SSH, which is the transport channel, and then it will come back to you. Okay, so variables are empty container where you store the data, and this empty container is transmitted, okay, between the source and destination over on the channel. So that is the important concept of variable, and you always use variable to have your data transmitted. So what are data, by the way? So when I say data, okay, so data is like your IP address, username, password, port number, your all show CLI commands. If you're sending any config T commands, these are all data. And for each of them, you have to have some variable defined. So let's say for IP address, you have a variable called IP address, and you are gonna define your IP address inside that, like let's say this way. Now that data is 1.1.1, which is stored inside that variable IP address. Okay, IP address stands for the variable name. Similar way, let's say you wanted to store and transmit the data username. So let's say you define something for username and keep the data within that. Let's say the admin is your data. Okay. Similar way, let's say for password, you wanted to store Cisco. For port number, you wanted to store 22. For all CLI commands, let's say you just want to send one CLI command now. Let's say show IP int brief is the CLI command which you want to store there. Similar way, let's say that for config T commands, you wanted to create some loopbacks. So you say that interface loopback 101. Okay. So these act as your variable names. These are your variable names, the one which is highlighted with blue color. And your data is on the right hand side. These are your data, user data. Okay, so always your script will consist in this manner. So we have variable name assigned on the left hand side, and on the right hand side we have the data, and variable has this assignment operator. Okay, this is called as assignment operator, where you are assigning the data to that empty container. Can that container can be reused in our script? Yes, we can reuse. That means, say for example, I had IP address, correct? I had some IP address which was using this as a data. Let's say I took the SSH connectivity. I did what I was supposed to do. Now I can reuse that variable once again at the bottom, and I can give another data to that. Okay. Similar way, let's say I did some action items on it. Its job is done. I can reuse that variable one more time. Now let's say I'm assigning my 3.3.IP. So variables can be reusable, but there is one problem that can arise if you are reusing them. Say for example, okay, I'll put it in a new this one. So let's say you have a variable IP and you defined 1.1.1.1. Okay, and if you take a print of this, what is the output that you expect? The output is that it is giving you the result 1.1.1. Okay, the assignment operator is this. Now, as I told you, I can reuse it. Let's say I am gonna use 2.2.2. Now, if I take the print, what is the IP gonna show me the result? In the second case, on the same script, if I reuse that variable name, what is that print IP gonna give me?
It's 2.2.2.
Yeah, it will give me 2.2.2. So whichever variable is closer to that print statement, that is the data that it's gonna give it. Okay. So now issue that it can arise it. Let's say at the end you were writing some paragraph that device one is some IP. So how would you bring up that variable? If you say print IP, it is still gonna give you the one which is closer enough. So this will print this, not this. So you have to decide when you wanna keep the same name And when do you want to keep it a different name? You could have added IP1 and IP2 in this scenario, so that you can just add IP1 and it will print that IP1 here. Okay, it is reusable, but doesn't mean that you have to always use it. And if it is if it has to be reusable, then yes, you have to reuse in that scenario, especially when we use the for loop iteration. I'll show you that variables get reused. Okay, that concept is different. Here the concept is different, and the concept when we go with for loop would be different. It is reusable, but doesn't mean that every scenario you are gonna use its reusability uh, features. Okay, so let's define some variable. Now again, variable can be anything. You can say xyz equals to Cisco. You can also say x equals to Cisco. Okay, or you can define a very good name like vendor equals to Cisco. Okay, or you can say that my vendor equals to Cisco. These are all valid. Okay, you can give a single character, a multi-character, a whole line. Some people also give it like real time vendor name, a very lengthy kind of thing. It is good for you to understand what that variable is used for. Okay, but that will increase the the length of that particular variable. Here what happens, it will create you confusion. What is that xyz used earlier for? So make something which can be identified very easily by you. So when you're writing some script, okay, let's say you started writing here, and after some time you get into some page 2, page 3, page 4. Now you will start forgetting what that x was used, what y was used, what xyz was used. Okay, so this type of names will help you. The names that is more interactive. You don't have to write a very lengthy paragraph or line for that, but a short name is always better. Now, since we know that what are variable, okay, which is basically to store the data, there is a assignment operator in between them. So we will see what are the thumb rules. Thumb rules of defining any name. I said xyz equals to Cisco. That is a valid name. X equals to Cisco is also valid name. You can say x1 equals to Cisco. That is also valid name. But you cannot start variable with a numerical first. Okay, this is not good. Bad example. This is bad example. Okay, what other bad examples do we have? So let's say that the other bad examples would be uh, you cannot uh, you cannot have hyphens. Okay, like say for example, this is not good. Okay, but underscore is allowed.
Sagar,
Yes,
if we have multiple entry, like for example, vendor, I want to write, for example, Cisco and Juniper, Fortinet, Palo Alto. It's available to write more than keyword on
we'll
the
come
same
to
one.
that. Yeah, I got your concern. We'll
Mhm.
come to that. Okay.
Okay.
So now these are all single piece of information, single data. What you're telling is for multiple data. Okay, so we'll come to that also.
Okay.
Okay, so these are some thumb rules. I'm gonna show you over here now. So let's take I print XYZ. So you see that data has been out here. If I put numerical, that is also good. But what happens if I keep a numerical at the beginning of that variable? That is not good. It will say that invalid syntax. Okay, you cannot start something with numbers. But you can start something with hyphens. Okay, so you say that hyphen XYZ1, that is valid. We can keep hyphen at the center or somewhere here as well. You have to use the right variable name, otherwise it say it's not defined. Okay, see, so you can keep hyphen, center, start, and whatever. But what happens if you bring hyphen all of a sudden? That will not happen. You cannot have a hyphen in between. Okay, so these are some thumb rules. Variable name must start with a letter or underscore. Variable number cannot start with number. Variable name can contain alphanumerical. I showed you XY1, that was valid. Okay, alphanumeric is allowed. But then some things like hyphen, these are not allowed. These special characters are not allowed. Variables are case sensitive. If it is not finding that same name, it will not be able to figure it out. Say for example, you have lowercase, but then by mistakenly you are making use of a uppercase. Now these two things are two different variable. Okay, a lowercase and uppercase, they are case sensitive, so you should use it whatever you defined, okay, this way. So variables are containers for storing data values and which is used for transmission over on the channel. This is variable. So any doubt here in this terms variable? I'll show you one more method that people use it. You can, I mean, see what happens is XYZ, ABC, they are later on will become a problem. You do not know what is XYZ was used. So what some people do is, let's say for single devices, okay, they completely write this way, single devices. It start looking very odd later on, lot of characters in this, correct? So you can write it in a capitalized method. Okay, S in capital, D in capital, so that is good. Or you can use something like this, which can also make you it more readable and more understandable when things become like 50 lines, 100 line. This kind of pattern is better. So you practice writing it in this pattern so that readability becomes easier for you. Okay, so that was about variable. Now we have our bread and butter topic, that is data types. Okay, now what is data type? In simple word, what is data? Data is piece of information. Okay, so if I've done spelling mistake, just bear with me. Piece of information, but what is that information? Any useful information, like in the sense, example, your data, that is your username, that is a piece of information that you want to transmit between your PyCharm or your script towards the Cisco box. Let's say password, that's also a data. Cisco is the data. Okay, so this is Cisco is acting as a data. You define a IP address. So let's say IP address 1.1.1. Now that 1.1.1 is acting as some data. Let's say you define port, you have 22 port number, right? Now you see that I started up using different formatting. See here, I said two inverted comma, I had two inverted comma, I got two inverted comma, but I didn't use any two inverted comma. Sometimes what happened, as we just discussed, that let's say when I was had to supply multiple data, multiple vendors, correct, where I have to add Cisco or Juniper or Arista, kind of multiple data. So that is this topic about. how are you gonna transmit your data, or how you are storing the data in the variable, and what types of data we have in Python. So all the programming language has its own data representation. Okay, uh, guys, just a minute. Okay, so I just kept my laptop on charge. Okay, so this about data, where we will discuss what are different types of data. Every language has it. Java has its own data types. It will match with Python, but to some extent they will deviate as well. C++ has its own way of representing or calling the data. So we will see how in Python we use them. How can, or what are different types of data types that are available in Python. Okay, data types in Python. We're not discussing on a different programming. We'll discuss only on Python. So we know that single data is something which we pass on, and we have multiple data requirement. So for single data, I have something called strings. Okay, and within this, I can store a single character data, like say for example this. Okay, so I say that user is so and so. Let's say these are examples for string. Example for strings data type. I say this username is so and so. So admin is called as the data type string. Let's say I wanted to pass on password information. Then I'll enter Cisco as the data there. Now the data type is string here. Okay, so good till here. Now what if I wanted to send multiple data, multiple device IP? Okay, where I have to supply 1.1.1 and 2.2.2. Now string will not work. Okay, string will not work here because string is meant to carry only one data. They can carry only one data at a time. So who will carry multiple data? So for that, we already have put our block. Okay, so when I'm discussing about multiple data, I'll let you know how do we carry multiple data. But what else do we have under single data apart from this? Under single data, we have strings and then numbers. Okay, numbers like port numbers and all those things. Number has some flavors, different type of flavor. That is integer. Integer is your whole number. You have floating number, and you also have something called as complex number, but not used heavily in networking, at least. This is a concept of imaginary J, etc. More into mathematics, so we'll take it out for now. Integers are your whole number. That means examples. Let's say port number and define 22. Now this is of type integer. Okay. The next one is float. What would be the example for float? Let's say I have some decimal formatting. Again, when do we use decimal in networking? I hardly find any decimals. Most of the time it's a whole number itself. But let's say you took some percentage of total memory, free memory, and etc., and some dot you receive, right? So let's say percentage bandwidth equals to, you received something like 45.5%, something like this. Correct. So when you have that decimal coming into picture, we refer it as a float type of number, and for whole numbers, we call it as integers. Okay, so I did a typo there. It's integer. So these are examples for number, integers and float. The previous example for was characters, which is string, where you can keep only one data at a time. Okay, now coming to multiple data. You want to send some show commands on multiple devices. You have multiple vendors, right? So for that, in Python, there are 4 different methods we call as list, dictionary, set, tuples. Okay. All 4 of them have very different properties. That's why we have 4. If they had only single property, then why we need to have 4 different types just to confuse someone. So they have 4, they have different properties, and that is why they make themselves different from each other. Okay. So what properties am I talking about? So properties like, are they mutable, immutable? That means, are they changeable? We also call it as mutables. Changeable or non-changeable concept. Are they indexable? Okay. Are they indexable? Are they ordered or unordered? Okay. And various other properties like so delete, add, I will put in the changeable itself, because that's a broad way of representing. Within changeable, it's like adding, deleting, modification. So I keep changeable as a broad category. Indexable, I'll come to you what is indexable, and ordered. Okay, these are some and yeah, one more thing is whether duplicates are allowed or not. So on this few property, these are classified. They all have a different properties. Okay, so let's say for list. So for list, what is these property look like? So let me keep it here. So for list, it is changeable type. Okay, so I'm gonna say yes to changeable. Is it indexable? Yes, it is indexable. So another yes. Is it ordered? Yes, it is ordered. Will the duplicate allowed? That is also yes. Okay. Now, how do we check that? Let's say I create a list now. List is represented with square bracket. Okay. And within that square bracket, I can keep multiple data like 1.1.1, comma 2.2.2, comma 3.3.3, comma 4.4.4. This is one example. Let's say second example. Square bracket, Cisco, Junos, Arista. Okay, different data stored inside one variable. So this is a list method where you store multiple data. Can you store numbers and string? Yes, you can do that also. Let's say third example, where you have Cisco, you have port number 22, you have Junos, you're calling out some 1.1.1, you have some port number for 443. Okay, so this is also possible in list where you have different types of data stored inside one list. So this is a string example. Okay, these are all string, whereas this is a number example. Whereas here, these are all string examples. These are all string because that inverted comma will make the property of string. Without inverted comma, that's a number as an example. So all these 3 are valid example. Okay. So here, changeable in the sense, once I create them, am I supposed or am I able to change them? If I want to change this first data, yes, I can change it. Okay. Once it's created somewhere in the line number 5, later on, when I go to line number 75, if I supposed to change this to something else, okay, and the line number 75, I can change it. I can call the name of that list. I can say that the first data has to be changed with this data. Okay, so to do that, I must know that this list are indexable in concept. Okay, what is indexable now? So we know that changeable is done, but we do the changeable by defining which data. For that, we need to know that indexable concept. So here in Python, you can index the data, and how the index starts is it starts with 0. It is acting as a placeholder. Where is that 1.1.1 located inside that variable list? It's located at index 0. If I say someone, where is 2.2.0 located? It's located at index of 1. Where is 3.3. located? It's located at this. Where is 4.4. located? It's located in index of 3. So remember, index starts with 0. It's not your mathematic way of starting with 1 or something like that. It's an indexable concept. So it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. So someone asks you, what is list index of 4? So what is the answer for this? So in the first example, there is no fourth element, right? So this will give you an error. It will say list out of range. That means there is no fourth element, but you're trying to call that. But what happens when you call index of 3? Now that will fetch you the data 4.4.4 from that list. Okay, this is how you access it. This is how you index and you access it. And it is very easy for someone to change that data. Now let's say if I had to change the data, I say that list 3 equals to my new data is this. Okay, now what is this gonna do? This is gonna remove this and store that 10.10.10.10 inside that. That becomes your new data. Okay, so changeable, yes. Indexable, yes. What do you mean by ordered? Now, whichever array types, these are also called as array because they can carry multiple data collection. So whichever array supports indexable, they are ordered. Order in the sense, if you print list, what is the first value that's gonna come? That is 1.1. Then comes 2.2.2. Then comes 3.3.3. Then comes 4.4.4. They come in a structured way, ordered way. Okay, not that when you take a print, first 4.4. is reaching to you, then 2.2. It doesn't happen in list. Okay, lists are ordered in nature. So the first element, it's not required that 1, 2, 3 should come in sequence. It depends how you arranged this one, because you're taking a print of this, right? So in that, if you kept 2.2. as the first element, which has index 1, index 0, so first index will come. It comes in this order. Okay, your first index comes first, then this, then this, then this, so on. Now in that, if you keep 4.4. first, then that will come first naturally, right? Because it's indexable, it is ordered. What is duplicate? Duplicate in the sense, can I have a same element stored? What if here I had once again 1.1.1? Yes, it is doable. I can keep the duplicate data in the list method. So for duplicate, I'm gonna say yes. Duplicate is allowed in the list. So this is example. Let me quickly show here. Okay, so you already know string and numbers, but let's say that you wanted to see one more time. So you can represent string this way. You can represent string in this way also, single inverted comma as well. Okay. For port number, let's say I assign a number. So this is how the numbers are assigned. Now we discussed about list, which can carry multiple data. So let's say that multiple device IP. And what is the representation for list? The square bracket. So within square bracket, let's say 1.1.1. I have 2.2.2. I have 3.3.3. So these are some data types that we discussed. Okay. So you might be wondering why two types of representation. Can I have the third method? Something like this. In the sense, you start with double inverted comma, but you end with single inverted comma. Now this is not allowed. So whatever you start with, you have to end with the same. Okay, this is a bad example. In what case we might use both? That is when you're writing some statement, some line. Say, let's say this is automation batch, but you wanted to stretch on this word with some inverted commas. So what you can do is select that, put inverted comma. Okay. Now you see that this inverted comma is acting as a outer layer. Okay. This is acting as a string, acting as a outer layer to represent the string. And within that outer layer, whatever lines you want to highlight it. Okay. So the output would look like this is automation with that inverted comma and so and so. In this case, you have to use both of them. You cannot use double inverted comma in this case. Okay. You cannot use this method. You know what will happen? It is going to treat as two data. One is this, one is this. This will be without any inverted comma. So it is giving some error. And this will also fail gradually because this is not a list. If it is a list, there should be a square bracket. There is a no square bracket. So string in the sense it's one data. So you cannot supply two data either, right? So there are one data, there's two data, and this is a invalid something. There is nothing like that. So this arises because your double inverted comma is treating this as a closure for it. So it is treating this is one string. And over here, it is thinking this is the start and this is the end of it. So it is treating this as a valid thing. But this poor guy is left over. So that is why we can use both, but in such a way that it don't break it. So you place the single inverted comma, take out this. Okay. Now this forms a proper way. So this is your whole string kept in a outer wrapper, and within this act as your data, single piece of data. Now this is a single piece of data. Remember, it's not a double, it's not multi-data. If it is multi-data, then remember you separate it with comma. There is no comma in this. So it's a single piece of data. The single piece of data not always say that you keep only one word something. Even if you keep one line, but they are inside that outer wrapper, it is still acting as one data itself. Okay. Whereas this is single, these are multiple data. See, this is one data, comma, second data, comma, third data, and so and so. Okay. So string, numbers, list. Let's see the properties of this. Let me take out all this. So how would I access it? Or let's say the property, the different properties that I had. Let me keep it here. I said, are they changeable? Are they indexable? Are they ordered? And are they allowed duplicate? Okay, so we will see each one of them. The same applies for all the different arrays. So it is easy for you to, catch the logic there. So let's say this is 2 dot, 3 dot, 4 dot. All right, so let's see the example. For example one, for changeable reason, how do I change it? Let's say I have to add new device. So I say that my old device, old list on index of 1. Okay, what is index of 1? Index of 1 is this, because we know that they are indexable. So this is 0, 1, and 2. Okay, I'm gonna say that index of 1 I want to replace with 5.5.5. Okay, and then I want to take the print of the new variable. So if I run this, you see what has happened. It is basically changing, but let's see what happens to that original list. See that the data got changed. Initially it was 2.2.2, but in the meanwhile in your script you changed it to 5.5.5. Okay, you said that data which is present here has to be changed with this. Similar way, let's say you wanted to change the 0 with something else, 10.10.10.10, and you want to execute this. See now. Okay, so this is the property for changeable. Changeable, you can delete it, you can add, etc., etc. It's a broad range, broad category where to do all those things. Indexable, indexable in the sense, how would you access index of 2? Okay, so you just say that you want to access index 2 data. Play this button. See now. So what is index 2? Index 2 is this. It is giving you the output. So let's say you wanted to access index of 0. Play this. You get 1.1.1. Let's say you wanted to access index of 4. So we don't have any 4, right? We don't have any 4th element. See, now you get this error, list index out of range. So when you try to access which is not present, then you get an error. But let's say for some reason you backfill or you fill that. You say that your index is, your last data is this, and now you run it. Okay, so let's say 3.3.3, or let's say this way, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we need one more where I'm gonna keep as 3. See now, it's taken. Okay, and you also see your original list. You have all the strings, different types of strings, and you have one number also. So you can keep 2 or 3 different types of data type inside this. Okay, so we did the indexable, we did the changeable property. We saw the accessibility of it. Now let's see this sorting, the order of it. Okay, to see the order, what I can do is I can add some for loop method. We have not discussed about for loop. I'll come to that. Okay, but let's just see the order of this. So if I take the print of it, so what would be my order? Will this come as first, this come as first, or this come as first? Okay, so we know that they are indexable, 0, 1, 2, 3, 1. So first, the data which is present of 0 comes first, then this, and so on till the very end. They are indexable and in a order. You can predict the orders. Okay, so if you run this, you see that 1.1, 2.2, 3.3, 3.3 or 13 and 3, because they are having their type as ordered. Okay, and the last property was, will they allow duplicate? So I can check that as well. No error. So you added a duplicate duplicate data and no error. You run this, it will still give you that. So this is what the property makes them different. If you go to tuples, you go to let's say dictionary, you go to set, they will have different property. Set in let's say, in short, I'll discuss this in the next class, but just giving you some options, some hint. So dictionary have a key value method. Set is say no to all these properties, no changeability options, no to index property, no to ordered property, whereas tuple say yes to few things, like it allows duplicate. Okay, it allows duplicate and indexability and ordered, but it's gonna say no to changeability property. Okay, so we'll do this in the next class. So for now, let's keep it till here. So any doubt so far? And all your exercise are on your Google Drive. You download it, go with your remote lab or install PyCharm on your local machine, wherever you want. Just practice all of this exercise. Okay, so to be on the track.
Sagar, how do you remember? Like, is it just a practice makes you easy to remember, or is there any way to remember this? Because it's quite confusing,
No, you have to practice. You once practice it, then it will be very easy for you to remember. But I'll in the next class I'll show you some shortcut also. I mean, there is no such shortcut, but I can put all of them in one table, and I can write that what is what. You can take a snap, a quick pic of that. Okay, but still you have to remember. But again, once you practice, it will be all clear. All of the properties would be clear.
All right. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, guys, also one more thing. Tomorrow I may not be taking the class. So what I've done is I have prepared you some quiz on whatever we have discussed so far. So I want you to attempt it. And when you attempt it, remember to, cross-check those PDF, whatever is in the Google Drive. These are basic quiz now, just to see where you stand. Okay. And if you see that you're not able to grab it, go back to recording, watch it, do those exercises which are kept in the PDF, come back and re-attempt your quiz. Okay, so 1 or 2 or 3 attempt, you should be thorough with whatever we have discussed so far. Okay, so tomorrow is your homework day, so you just finish all this thing, and then the next class would be on Monday. I'll continue with the next data type there. Okay.
Okay, so is there anyone from backend to help us to install the lab in our home lab?
Home lab, you mean to say?
Yes.
Yeah, you just write one email to this and ask for the availability, or share your availability, share 2 to 3 slots of yours that you are available between this to this. And our team will reply back with the Zoom meeting and they'll guide you. Okay.
Okay, that's good. Also, if you come back to the biochar, I have one question, please, for the code.
Yes, it's good. It's good. Most of the people use PyCharm.
No. I mean for biochar code, you wrote it right now. If you go to biochar, I wanted to ask you one thing about
the official website of PyCharm, or you're asking the
no. Open biochar platform in your PC. Yes. This
okay.
One. Okay, here you are write multiple device equal, and you are write some devices. Okay. What does it mean for single device? Is keyword should be we write it in each code, or you write for and the PyCharm will understand the for keyword?
You are asking for this one?
Yes. You mentioned before for single device. What will happen if you will write from single device in multiple? This is standard code, or what is this?
Okay, so see, this topic has not been taken up. Okay, so this topic is under the loop iteration. And loop iteration, and the format of writing for loop is that
Okay.
Okay, this would be the
Okay.
format of writing this. Now, what happens is, I mean, how the how the for loop is gonna bring those output is the for loop follows some iteration concept. Okay. Uh, Again, I
Okay.
don't want to
Okay.
go in detail now, but let's say that when you have multiple data inside list, each time one data will get into the block, it will see whether that is the last element. If it is the last, if it is not the last element, then it will go back. Now the second data comes, it will once again check if that is the last data or not. It will reiterate, but let's say that that was the last element, then it will go out of the for loop scenario.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, it will go out of the for loop scenario. But on the 2-3 repetitive iteration, it would have done its job of taking one after one. So let's say first the for loop name equals to reference list with the index of 0. So let's keep it this way. Okay, the reference list, whatever reference list you are having, that index of 0, and whatever print statement, SSH statement, show CLI statement will happen on that first data. Let's say 1.1.1. Once again, it will reiterate. Now the for loop name is reference list index of 1. That could be 2.2.2. It will do all the show command, SSH, etc., and then again it will reiterate, and this will go on until all the sequence are met, one after one.
So the first part, it's starting from 0. So 1, 2, 3. Blah, blah.
Yes, it will start with 0. That is why your first element got executed.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Good.
So there is a invisible index that keeps adding onto this. So when you say from single device in multi-device IP, so single device equals to multi-device index 0, then it is 1, then it is 2, then it is 3, 4, until the last element is met, then it will go out of the for loop iteration. So we have a class for this. So I'll take up all the iterations and all. Okay.
That's good. That's good. I'm trying to understand a little bit basics to be aligned with you and the explaining of you right now to avoid any confusing in the future.
Okay.
But sound is good. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Sagar. Where we can find those exercises that you're talking about? I'm not able to find in the Google Drive. Can you show us?
Not Google Drive. It is in your learning portal. It is in your learning portal.
Yeah,
The web portal.
have the access to it, but I'm not able to find those exercises.
Have you been assigned with that new course? The new course that we...
Yes.
The July 2022.
Yes, I've been assigned to that.
Yeah, so you should see it here. See any section which is collapsed or something, you might have to expand that section. See, check for this section there.
Yeah, I can see that quiz, but I'm not able to find the exercises, the practice exercise.
You have to click to expand that section. It's a drop down type.
Okay.
So when you click on that, there is a quiz 1 within that.
Yeah, quiz 1 is there, but the exercises you're talking about,
So when you click, once you click, what happens? It's not showing you anything.
Maybe a check from another browser. Maybe it's.
Okay,
yeah,
I'll check from the student login credential. Let's say, see here, there is a small drop
It's come with
down.
me here. I saw it.
Yeah, so here there is option start quiz. Okay, so this way you can attempt it.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so you see yourself where you stand after there are 26 questions. Go back, watch these two recording. Most of the questions are taken from these first two recording itself. Okay, so try to get maximum to maximum score there. Might be one or two question I might have put out of the box, but that's fine. When we take the next few classes, you would be good with that. Okay. All right, guys. So that's all from my side. I hope you guys are good. Is there anyone having any question or something? Okay, so looks good. We'll connect on Monday then. Okay. Thank you, everyone.